There is bombshell new reporting today about the internal horrors over how Donald Trump's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has worked to delegitimize the accomplishments and the very presence of black men and women serving in the United States military. Pete Hegseth has dismissed, pushed out, and blocked the promotions of high-ranking black and female officers. He has removed diversity initiatives. He has banned Black History Month celebrations at the Pentagon, and he has restored memorials to Confederate soldiers. Clint Smith writes this in The Atlantic this week, quote, "In interviews with 24 currently enlisted civilian and retired black members of the military across the armed forces, person after person told me they have watched in dismay as the new administration has diminished and erased a proud history. Right now, one retired senior Air Force officer told me, I'm questioning whether it was all in vain." The officer was one of several people I interviewed who asked to remain anonymous out of fear of personal or professional retribution. "I look at this as a bad fever," he said, "and one day that fever is going to break, but who will be left once it does?" Joining us now, the author of that piece of reporting in The Atlantic, staff writer Clint Smith. Also joining us, Richard Brookshire. He's a former infantry combat medic and U.S. Army veteran from the war in Afghanistan. He is now the CEO and co-founder of the Black Veterans Project. Clint, take us through what you're reporting.
Thanks so much for having me. Well, so much of what I discovered over the past several months is that there's a sort of cognitive dissonance for a lot of the officers and soldiers within the military. There's this sense that so much of what has been done over the past year and a half by this administration has contributed to this feeling of almost a Jim Crow-like essence being restored to the U.S. military. And there's so many people who have retired early. There's so many people who have decided not to go into the armed services when they otherwise would have considered it. At the same time, there's this feeling of, our ancestors have gone through iterations of what we've gone through. Our ancestors have gone through worse than what we've gone through. We have a responsibility to stay the course. We have a responsibility to stay in the armed services because we'll be here long after this administration and Pete Hegseth have departed. And so there's a sort of tension that exists within the armed forces and within black members of the armed forces trying to decide what the right thing to do in their specific context is.
Clint, what do you do, though, when the power structure is creating the hostile environment? Like, where do you go if you're attacked or discriminated against or abused or face a hostile environment? Who is there for the men and women of the military of color when the racism is coming from the top of the power structure?
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. And the truth is that oftentimes black service members go to one another. And the history of the organization and within the military is that so often black service members, black soldiers, black cadets are finding mentors in officers who are stationed in the same place that they are, who can serve as a sort of touch point to help them understand how to navigate the difficult dynamics, the difficult racial dynamics of the military. And that was before everything that's happened over the past year and a half with kind of Trump 2.0, but it feels even more pronounced now. And the problem is that many of the officers who would be the mentors to these younger soldiers are leaving the force. They're retiring early, or they're leaving after they've gotten past their 20 years when they otherwise would have stayed. And so there's this decimation of people who otherwise would have still been in the forces, would have been in these rooms, who would have served as mentors, who would have provided a sense of solidarity, a sense of guidance. And a lot of those folks are no longer in the military and have either fully retired or gone into the private sector.
Decimating the military is exactly what Pete Hegseth's legacy will be at the direction of Donald Trump. And I wonder, Richard, how in any sort of warped, perverse universe this makes the military better, stronger, or safer.
It doesn't, and there's no surprise that many of the first gains of the civil rights movement were really made in the military, right? During the height of World War II, breaking forward into 1948 when the services were fully integrated. Some of the first major wins that laid the foundation for the Civil Rights Act and everything that would follow were the battlegrounds of the military, right? And so it's no surprise that the dismantling of the structures that have allowed equity to exist within the military in some fashion are being decimated in this moment, and there's going to be a lot to repair, but repair is certainly possible. And if our ancestors, like Clint said, have fought against these same kind of forces of fascism, then certainly we can do the same and take many of the lessons that we can glean from some of their victories.
Let me read you, Richard, some more Clint's reporting. One senior Black military official told me, quote, "This country is great because of us, despite how they have treated us. And when I think about what I'm willing to live or die for, I would not sit idly by and let someone else come in and take away what we've built, despite some folks not recognizing the role that we played in building it." Such a complicated relationship with the military, such a complicated relationship with the country. Some of that is obviously our history, but what people are dealing with right now, being removed from lists for promotions, is something that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are choosing to do. Is there any way to resist those moves, or is the power over those decisions absolute?
I think in this moment there is some absolution to some of the policies that are being propagated, and that's deeply unfortunate. But some of what some of the generals had said in the article that Clint wrote were that there are folks that are still holding the line. There are folks that are certainly, there's always going to be a confluence of Black folk that serve in uniform. Listen, I always think about the history, even going back to the Revolutionary War. I'm Haitian, and some of the reasons that we won the Revolutionary War were because Haitian troops came over and served in Savannah, right? And when you think about the consequential nature of the Harlem Hellfighters in World War I, or the Tuskegee Airmen in World War II. All of these folks had to serve in spite of, and certainly in environments that were much more hostile to them as Black people. And certainly in this moment, there is a large regression. But I do believe that not only is there a veteran ecosystem of folks who are highly skilled and highly aware and highly paying attention in this moment that are going to play a large role in ensuring that the military and the role of the military returns back to the people who, we're a diverse body of people, and our multiracial military is deeply important to the maintenance of a multiracial democracy.
Clint, it's an incredibly important piece of reporting. I think a sign of what we're all talking about is that a lot of your folks, a lot of your sources speak anonymously. I want to just invite them here on this program on live TV to come sit at this table and have this conversation. We'll all reconvene anytime, an open invitation to any one of them if they get to that point that they think that would be helpful. Really important reporting, really important conversation. Clint Smith and Richard Brookshire, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about it. When we come back, there's some breaking news to tell you about. Another night